തുടങ്ങണ്ടേ?
2 minutes.
1 minute. 2 minute കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട്. Somebody has joined now.
Meeting start. As soon as that comes out.
Shall I start recording?
The message will start. YouTube the message will.
Just come. Meeting is now streaming.
Okay, then you start recording. And Jamila, you can start.
Yeah.
Greetings to all of you who have joined us on this platform. A warm welcome to all the AIWC members who have actually logged in from very far off places. Thank you so much for joining us on this platform. And this forum, which we started about almost 3 years now, and we are on to the 42nd session of our literary and cultural forum. And during all these months, we have been keeping this forum very alive, touching on very different topics. And our most recent concern has been to talk about the G20 countries and to understand the history, the geography, and the culture and literature of these countries. We have had talks on almost all the, I would say, developed countries. And today we are going to talk about Asia, particularly the Middle East region. And Dr. Arshad Ahammad is here to talk to us on a topic which I'm sure is going to be very interesting. The topic that he has chosen to talk to us is Middle East region, reading the Nile to Oxus. A very interesting subject. We are going to hear about a land that we do not know much about, which has been shrouded in so much of Western romanticism about a land of deserts, uncultured people, camels riding the deserts. So that's the kind of image that has been created by the Western world. So it's high time we begin to think about what these lands are actually represent and how the Asian continent has come to be recognized in the present modern world. Dr. Arshad Ahmad, who is here with us today, is an assistant professor of English at MSM College, Kayamkulam. He is also a research supervisor in the University of Kerala. His PhD focuses on religio-political history in select historical fiction. He has co-edited a book titled Literature, Theory, and the History of Ideas, an updated compendium published by Cambridge Scholars Publishing, Cambridge, UK. He has acted as a guest editor of the December 2019 issue of LitCrit, which is an internationally acclaimed journal from Kerala. And I must say he has contributed much to teaching, research, curriculum development, and his articles, which has been published in popular magazines. Some of his writings is like the article that he has in the popular literature syllabus of MA English of the University of Kerala. He has also an article in communicative English, which is taught to students in the University of Kerala at the undergraduate level. He has published several articles in reputed journals, newspapers, books, and web portals. His research interests include literary and cultural theory, digital studies, narratology, and historical fiction. Now, it is this CV that Arshad sent me that should be thinking about historical fiction and his contribution to Arab studies, particularly Asian studies, West Asian studies. The first time that I called him to give a talk on West Asia, he said, which all the countries that I can include in the West Asian geographical space. And in fact, his question set me thinking. One of the things that we often forget when we think about Asia is that It is such a huge landmass, and it is the largest continent on Earth, and with the most diverse kind of people of coming with different languages, different cultures, and it stretches from the Nile to the Oxus. And very interestingly, one must remember that rivers here flow from the south to the north. And there are places like Saudi Arabia where there are no rivers at all. There is no water at all. There are places like Iran and Iraq where we know that violence and strife and warfare has been more the order of the day than a calm and smooth life. We also know that from Kerala, a lot of people migrated to the Dubai, the Middle East countries in search of opportunities. These opportunities which they got there, the money that they made, did not change, I would say, our perception of Asia and the Middle East. So such forums, I think, should be able to correct some of the impressions that we have about Asia and the Middle East. As I said earlier, some of the great thinkers like Rumi and Omar Khayyam come from countries that belong to this West Asian region, that is Iran. Here, since Arshad had given us a title which talks about rivers, I was thinking about Rumi's words about the river. He has a quote which says, "Raise your words, not voice. It is rain that grows flowers, not thunder." Words like these, quotes like these begin to make us think about the value of life. In another of his poems, which I relate to what Arshad's title, this is a poem which is called All Rivers at Once. So I was intrigued by this title, Why All Rivers at Once? And this is the way the poem goes. I am sunlight slicing the dark. Who made this night? A forge deep in the earth mud. What is body? Endurance. What is love? Gratitude. What is hidden in our chests? Laughter. What else? Compassion. And he ends the poem saying, don't ask what love can make or do. Look at the colors of the world. And you actually look at the bright colors of the world. And there is nothing to beat those varied colors. And that is what Asia is. And the last line of the poem, which reads, the river water moving in all rivers at once. The water is the same everywhere. The truth that lives in Sham's face. Shams is bringing people together. So the truth is that, like the rivers, all at once, the community of people, the diverse community of people living in so many different parts of Asia, come together in compassion, in love, and in laughter, in gratitude and endurance. Perhaps such philosophical musings of Rumi were relevant not only for his times, but is relevant even today. And to quote another poet, Omar Khayyam, and we all know the Rubaiyats. And I remember when, as a student, Scott Fitzgerald translated his lines. The only line that stuck in my mind was "Eat, drink, and be merry." You always connect Omar Khayyam with those words. But when he said that, today I realized that he had a depth of meaning in that, because we did not read the rest of the lines. We only read that line. And this is what he says. O heart, this world is but a fleeting show. Why should its empty griefs distress thee so? Bow down and bear thy fate. The eternal pen will not unwrite its role for thee. The eternal pen, God's pen, will not unwrite its role for thee. I trow. Whoever returned of all that went before to tell of that long road that travel over, leave not undone of what you have to do. For when you go, you will not return no more. So such philosophical roaming musings that have come from philosophical pens like that of Omar Khayyam and Rumi belong to this, what we call West Asia, the country that taught us, that had many things to teach us. Particularly, not just the poetry, but think of the architecture of Egypt, the pyramids, that is one of the wonders of the world. We talk about the oasis in the Arabian deserts, a natural formed fertile space in a vast desert. People who traveled on camel backs to and fro for trade, who did not have water, but the camel would store the water. The camel would store the water for its journey. And people who would find water and refreshment on the oasis. So you find natural creations as well as man-made creations sort of blend in this vast landscape of Asia, from Egypt, say, to the vast Mid-East, and we go as far as, I think, Syria, that is the northwestern border, northeastern border that we can go to. So one of the not one, but it's the largest continent, and I said with different languages. The three main languages, I'm sure Arshad will be talking more about this, Persian, Arabic, and Hebrew. And today, when we think about Gaza, we think about Palestine and Israel, they all belong to this, what we would call the Asian continent. People in strife, people fighting with one another. And it is not the land that we perhaps fantasied, perhaps in the stories that were told once of the 1001 Nights, Aladdin and his magic carpet, Shahzade's tales. So there were also stories of fantasy to counter these harsh environmental onslaughts on human life and human experiences. In addition to that, today, if we look at what the Arab world, or what we call the West Asian world, is contributing to the world, we realize that it is not only keeping the economy up, it is not only trying to showcase to the world the rich cultural heritage that belongs to it. It is also trying to tell the world it is compassion, endurance, and living together that matters. So in its true sense. So thinking of a Western concept, we must realize that the West always orientalized the East, and Asia was always seen as the other, at the other end, and the uncultured nomadic tribes moving from one region to another. If we also look at what the Western world has talked about or written about the life in the Arab region, there is always a talk of sultans with their magnificent palaces, the Sufis dying for them, the enormous harem of women that these sultans had. But these what you would say, images seem to cloud the true and perhaps the essence of the Asian people, the West Asian people, and their contribution to world culture. So just as a preface to what Arshad is going to tell us, I thought I would like to share my own views with you before I hand it over to Arshad. But before I do that, once again, a very warm welcome to all the AIWC members who have joined us on this platform. I see many veterans who have joined us, like Sheila Ji, Kuljit Ji Kaur, Asha Deshpande, Indrani Sengupta, Kalpana Roy, and many others. So very, very warm welcome to all of you who have joined us on this platform. And of course, my thanks to Usha for making this possible and have this online program running for so many months. So a very warm welcome to every one of you once again. And I warmly welcome Dr. Arshad also to this forum. And the floor is now open for you, Arshad.
Thank you, ma'am, for the kind words you have delivered about me. and thank you for the invitation for inviting me to such a platform where vibrant discussions um, and various intellectual discussions are going on in such a under the aegis of this AIWC India. And as I as Jamila ma'am already introduced, I I'm going to talk about the history, culture, and literature of the Middle East, uh, especially from the literary perspective. I
We can't hear you, Arshad.
I think there's a problem with his network.
Please, I.
Yeah, rejoin. No, he's still there, but we can't hear.
No, he left.
am I audible?
Got
Yeah,
disconnected.
now you're audible.
Yeah, ma'am. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not wasting my time. I just move to the slides for the presentation.
Arshad, are you speaking? We can't hear you. Arshad, we can't hear you.
I think his network is not very steady.
Hmm.
Are we-
Ma'am, am I audible now?
yes, now, yes, please go on.
Oh, okay, okay. Is it? Can you see the presentation slides?
You have to please click on the first slide and then you can. Now we are seeing the second slide.
Okay, purposefully put the
Go
second
to,
slide. The
can
first one
we
is
can we have it as a bigger full screen?
Slideshow. Put it on
yeah,
slide.
yeah. I will do. Is it okay now?
No.
Can you see the slide?
But it is still not on slideshow.
Uh, this is I put it in the slideshow mode. What happens?
Slideshow ഇട്ടിട്ട് first ലേക്ക് പോകണം അല്ലേ?
Well, it is already
Yeah.
on the first, but
What about now?
yes,
Yes.
Yes.
Is it okay?
Yeah, we can see now.
go on.
Okay. Okay, this is all about the Middle East region reading the Nile to Oxus. Ma'am already talked about the term Nile to Oxus. It is it refers to the two rivers in the Middle East, the Nile, the famous Nile River, and the Oxus, and between
Voice cut
think
down.
the network is not very good, so maybe you can switch off the video, then we can hear you better. I have switched off his video, so if he can continue speaking.
Is it okay now?
Yes, you can continue speaking. We can hear you.
Oh, okay, okay. Actually, the Middle East is a geographical region encompassing the
We can't hear you, Arshad.
I think there's a problem with the network. Can you hear us, Arshad?
Ma'am, can you continue?
Keep a good.
No, I
Okay.
can hear you.
Okay, okay. Actually, there is no problem with the connection. I don't know what the problem is.
സംസാരിച്ചോളൂ.
Okay, okay. And I talk about the Levant. The Levant refers to a large area in the eastern Mediterranean region of West Asia, which comprises present-day Jordan, Lebanon, Syria, the Palestine territories, the Israel, and the most of Turkey, southwest of the Middle Euphrates, the Euphrates River. And these two, all of these regions are commonly and jointly called the Levant. And of course, the Arabian Peninsula also, and the Turkey, Egypt, Iran, and Iraq are often referred to as, geographically referred to as the Middle East. And the Levant has been a center point for civilization for thousands of years. It has a history of over thousands of years, even 3,000 of years. History is there for the region called the Levant. And of course, Egypt. Egypt has always been the center of cultural activity in the Arab world, especially its capital city, Cairo, which witnessed the Arab Renaissance called the Nehda in the dawn of the 20th century. So even in the as Jamila ma'am already mentioned, even in the Arabian Nights, these places, especially Cairo, has an important role in the as the geographical locale of the stories. And um, Nile to Oxus region is an alternate term for the Middle East or Near East. It is coined by the term is first used by Marshall G.S. Hodgson. He was an American historian and philosopher and an expert in Islamic history and studies. He used this term as a reaction to the Eurocentric terminologies such as the Middle East. According to him, the Middle East is a problematic word for it symbolizes the Eurocentric attitudes and approaches. So this Hodgson is very much famous for new coinages and new terminologies like Islamic Age. The term Islamic Age is Hodgson contribution to the academic world, which goes parallel with Islamic. The term Islamic is quite different from the Islamic Age because I can explain it in a funny way with the example. Wine is not Islamic, but Islamic Age. Because Islamic Age refers to the cultural, political, and all such dimensions regarding or associated with the Islamic world. Even though wine is non-Islamic, it is Islamic because in the Arabian Nights, in the poetry of these Umar Khayyam, or in the almost all the Arab, in the entire Arabic poetry, there is thousands of mentioning of the word called wine. So we can we can differentiate the two terms with this simple example: the Islamic gate, the word Islamic gate, and the word Islamic. Then also, Hodgson, another coinage is the term the Great Western Transmutation, which refers to the Industrial Revolution. Industrial Revolution is replaced by the term the Great Western Transmutation because it is called it is by Western. It is not anything related to the Eastern world. So before Edward Said came with his theories of Orientalism, it was this G.S. Hodgson who opposed or who questioned the all these Eurocentric approaches and terms used till then. And I move to the next slide: cultural aspects of the Middle East. So that's why I used the term Nile to Oxus in order to have a political reading of that region. And regarding the cultural aspects of the Middle East known for its food, religion, and troubled history. Throughout the history of the Middle East, there are several conflicts and troubled past of religio-political conflicts and such. Um it's also the Middle East also known as the cradle of civilization. We have the Egyptian civilization. As the earliest civilization originated in the Fertile Crescent and Nile Valley regions of around 3500 BC. And also, Arabs are the largest ethnic group in the Middle East and are considered Arabs based on cultural characteristics and not out of race or language. Arabs' identity is based on cultural characteristics. And of course, Arab culture includes language, literature, gastronomy, art, architecture, music, spirituality, philosophy, and mysticism. Mysticism, we can have the example of the Sufi tradition and the poetry and thought of Rumi. Arabic is one of the 6 official languages of the United Nations and is considered the language of Islam because of the Quran and the Hadith were written in Arabic. And the Middle East has several other languages, including what Jamila ma'am already told, the Hebrew language and also the Turkish language. All these Persian has a history of several thousand years. And we have also Lebanese cuisine, Egyptian literature, and Iranian cinema, the hallmarks or the icons of the Middle East. The Iranian cinema and the Egyptian literature are very much famous for discussion. And I can give some examples of the cultural phases of Egypt. This is a typical Egyptian coffee shop. In Egypt, especially in Cairo, there are several thousands of coffee shops and tea shops where we can have a similar look at the coffee shops in London City during the 17th century, where Dryden and Swift sat together and made discussions on such poetry and all. And Egyptian coffee shops is a cultural icon of the Egyptian and the general Arab culture. And another one is the Cafe Ruche, which is in Cairo. It is a cafe mentioned in many of Najib Mahfouz's novels, the famous Nobel laureate from the Arabic world. This cafe is often mentioned in many writings of, especially the novels of Mahfouz. And also, this is a watercolor painting of Cairo city. This is a typical. The early 20th century Cairo is depicted here. Is painted here as a watercolor. This painting is by a British painter. I forgot his name. It's very much famous. You can Google it for the painting, because the importance of this painting is that when you visit Cairo, it's in several places, several public places. You can see this painting. This painting is displayed in several places of in the city, in the Cairo city. And another important thing we when it come to our which comes to our mind is nothing other than the calligraphy. One second, I can show you some calligraphy. Actually, I put it in the slide, but now it's not seen there. Can you see that?
Yes, we can see that.
This is another example, another typical calligraphy made. Actually, calligraphy is what they call khat in Arabic. The word khat refers to calligraphy in Arabic. It's the art of writing the Arabic alphabet in a fluid style to convey beauty, grace, and harmony. The 28 letters of the Arabic alphabet are written in cursive form, like in English, in cursive form right to left. This calligraphy has been used for over 14 or 15 years, 15 centuries of communication, for communication, decoration, and coin design. The oldest form of Arabic script is Kufic. That the oldest form of Arabic script is called Kufic, which developed in the 7th century, especially with the outset of Islam, and was used to document the Muslim holy book, which is the Quran. Because and Islamic calligraphy, apart from the Arabic calligraphy, Islamic calligraphy includes Arabic, Persian, and Ottoman, and also Urdu calligraphy, which is the artistic practice of handwriting and calligraphy in languages that use the Arabic alphabet or alphabets derived from it. This is another instance of calligraphy. Now come to the literature of the Middle East. Literature from the Middle East, when we talk about Middle Eastern literature, the major writers from the last century, we have already we know that there are several earliest writers from the Middle Eastern region, especially Rumi, Omar Khayyam, and all, and with writings like anonymous writings like Arabic Nights, and also the translation of the famous European and Indian storybooks like Panchatantra. Panchatantra's Arabic translation or Arabic version is called Kalila Vadimna. It's very much famous. It's very famous in the Arab world because it follows the tradition of the Arabs instead of the Indian context. It is rather called Arabic version of Panchatantra, not an Arabic translation. Kalila Vadimna. And we have major writers from the last century, Khalil Gibran, of course, and Najib Mahfouz, Mahmoud Derwish, Muhammad Hussein Haikal, and also Georgi Zaidan. This Georgi Zaidan is a historical novelist. On his novels, I took my research. And in the 21st century, Middle Eastern literature encompasses a rich variety of genres, like and also these genres growth has profited from internal and external influences upon the literature past the past 14 years. And modern Arabic literature addresses the full range of human experience, often through a realistic approach that employs the Arabic language in different ways. Also, contemporary writers, the the very famous contemporary writers. There are several novelists, poets, and playwrights in the Middle East now. But to pick some, we can name some very famous writers like Ahmad Murad, Ahmad Sadawi, Yusuf Zaidan, Abdurrahman Munif, Ghazal Kosavi, Abdul Khalid Khalifa, Nawal Sadawi, Leila Sabar, Layana Badr, Salwa Bakr, Hanan Al Sheikh, Raja Alam, Raja Al Sania. The writers from Nawal Al Sadawi are women writers from the Arab world. And role of fiction in Middle East literature. Uh, Even though there are several poets, playwrights, uh, and other prose writers in the Middle East, especially in the Arab world, it is fiction uh, uh, which uh, which has a real face of the Middle Eastern culture and society. Because and the role of fiction in Middle East literature, we can conclude it into the three roles. First one is unveiling society, to uncover the society of uh, the Middle Eastern region, and uh, which whereby fiction serves as a mirror of Middle Eastern culture and society, and also preserving heritage. Fiction preserves the rich cultural heritage of the Middle East for generations to come, and also it bridges time, a journey through it offers a journey through the past and present, as fiction connects readers to the historical roots of the region. Almost all the it, I noticed that almost all the novels and short stories from the Middle East, there is a connection between the past and the present. The even so we can see the present state of some characters is linked to any particular historical period or any particular historical moment, or of their own memories, or to their own memories. This is why the phrase bridging time is applied here. These three roles are very much pertinent in the Middle Eastern literature, especially in fiction. Uncovering society and societal uncovering society and culture, and preserving heritage, and also bridging time. Now we can have more about the Middle East fiction. Novelists from this region often face the challenge of restrictive cultural milieux. Restrictive cultural milieux, some more we can say that, uh, take an example of the Saudi fiction. There is the society is very much restricted for both male and female. For both men and women, they belong to their own their own closed spaces. Even though men have more freedom in the Saudi society, it is rather restricted, because they cannot have any access to the female world or the women's spaces. Whether it is we know that there are schools, universities, hospitals, and even banks for only for women, and men can have no access to those places. So that in that way also we can say that the restrictive cultural milieu signifies that. And also cultural milieu means another important, another meaning of this cultural restrictive cultural milieu. Each even though the Arab tradition has several similarities among nations and regions, apart from whether there is Lebanon, or there is in Syria or Saudi or UAE or Iraq, each country has its own cultural traditions, cultural values, cultural milieus. In that way, also we use the term. I use the term restrictive cultural milieu, and the novelists go beyond the local and regional levels and maintains a real significant universal presence. This is another important factor regarding the Middle East fiction. Even though they talk about the regional things, the regional cultures, regional life, the local traditions, they do possess something that we can call universal. All the themes in Middle East fiction offers some universal elements, whether there is the conflict in war, or the political conflicts, or the position of women in the society. All these are universal elements too. And also, contemporary novels and short stories voice the personal and historical experience of modern Arabs. The personal and historical experiences, these two are important, because in every novels we can have some personal accounts of the characters, which has a link to the historical experiences or the historical moments, especially with the troubled history of Islam, with its groupings and the Sunni Shiite split, and all those religio-political dimensions. And these works reflect other Arab writers' imagination, as well as their intense exploration of various dimensions of modern Arab life. And this is they the Arab writers often face a dilemma or an identity crisis regarding the exploration of various dimensions of modern Arab life. Modern Arab life is not much smooth. It's not so smooth as we can imagine, because the Arab world, as of now, also during the Israel-Palestine conflict, and during the Gulf War between Kuwait and Iraq, between Iraq and Iran, in the conflict happening in Yemen, all these happen. All these things, all these conflicts, directly and indirectly affect the common people of the region. So these dilemmas, these trauma, uh, directly influence into the writers also. It's a common thing, but uh, we cannot imagine such a world, yes, especially what happened in Gaza. In Gaza, the people live in between rockets, in between not rockets, between guns, bombings, um, s- other kinds of attacks, both physical and mental. And how the people in those areas, in those open prisons in Gaza and West Bank, how they live their everyday life. And all these experiences uh, are quite uh, how these experiences are represented in the Arab fiction. And there are several examples of these fictional narratives of the conflicts in the Arab world. Especially, quite an example, the novels of Ismail Kadari, the Algerian writer, and also the I must give an example with more before ending this presentation. The although some common trains and trans I can put into this particular topic is impact of modernity, the rise of the oil economy, political authoritarianism, corruption, religious issues, gender issues, war, refugee crisis, poverty, and the Palestinian experience in modern times. Almost all these themes are uh, more or less in present in or appeared in all the novels, all the fictional writings of the from the Middle East. Because when we talk about the impact of modernity, a impact of modernity and the developmental crisis for an example, the Saudi Arabian women novelist Raja Alam's novels. We can have the conflict between modernity and ancient tradition. Um, Raja is from Mecca, the holy city of Islam, and she is very much affected by the day-to-day developments happening in the holy city. In the name of development, the Saudi government, uh, sabotages the whole historical icons of or historical monuments in the holy city, just for the sake of development. So she is in a dilemma to accept these new happenings, these new changes, and all or to follow the traditional or the conventional aspects of the holy city. It's an example, just an example of the impact of modernity on the present society, on the current society, especially in the countries like Saudi and UAE. And the rise of the oil economy is another thing related to this impact of modernity, because in the Arab world, modernity starts from the rise of the oil economy. Uh, Oil excavation was the key uh, key moment where from the modern Arab world uh, emerged. And also political authoritarianism. Countries like even in Saudi or in Iraq, Iran, Tunisia, Egypt, Syria, all these places there are political authoritarianism. There are uh, conflicts and revolts, revolutions against the existing government, and the rule of the patriarch. All these things are there in almost all the countries in the Middle East. Also, this political authoritarianism is always associated with corruption. It also associates with the religious conflicts, because politics and politicians often handle religious issues very much, very sentimentally uses or employs or exploits the religious sentiments, and also gender issues, male-female conflicts, patriarchal elements, and of course war and refugee crisis in Syria. The very famous and the most recent examples are from Syria and Gaza and Palestine. Also related issues like poverty and the Palestinian experience. All these are often the current themes or the common themes in the contemporary, not in contemporary, the at least 20th century fiction also. These themes are there. These thematic strands are there. Now, I have already told these, except from the love and passion, enchanting themes of the Middle East literature. Identity and belonging is already there. War and conflict is already there. Love and passion is also another theme, enchanting theme of the Middle East literature, where the intoxicating tales of love, desire, and forbidden romance that captivates readers. And very, we can see these three themes, except the war and conflict in Arabian Nights also. Identity and belonging is already there in Arabian Nights, but love and passion is already it's a key theme. It's a common strand, thematic strand appeared in the Arabian Nights, but also the poetry of Rumi, in poetry of Khalil Gibran, and romance, historical romances and historical novels of Muhammad Hussein Haikal, and also Mirza Zaidan. This love and passion is a common theme for all these writers. Now, I introduced some very famous writers from the Arab world, from the Middle East. First one is a prominent Egyptian writer and visionary called named Tawfiq al-Hakim. He was famous for his representative plays, The Tree Chamber, The Sultan's Dilemma, The Song of Death. He was one of the pioneers of the Arabic novel and drama, especially drama. And Sultan's Dilemma is a very famous play by Tawfiq al-Hakim. It deals with a philosophical question on uh, what the government must do for the people. And his writings employs covers a variety of themes, such as the conflict between science and art and science and religion. And his works are also always incorporate dialogue between East and West, between feeling and intellect. And another writer, we all know him as the first Nobel Prize winner from the Arab world, Najib Mahfouz. He was a novelist, a short story writer, screenwriter, and playwright. And he won the Nobel Prize in 1988. He explored several themes of existentialism in the Arab fiction, the Arab novel. He published 34 novels, and very famous novels include Adrat on the Nile, The Children of Jebelai, The Thief and the Dogs, and The Children of Ali, or The Children of Jebelai, written in 1959, depicted the patriarch Jebelai and his children. It is a parallel history of the Abrahamic tradition, especially the lives of Adam, Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad. Another important writer from the Arab world is Abdurrahman Munif. He was a Saudi novelist, brought up in Jordan. He authored some 15 novels. The very famous novel is the quintet called The Cities of Salt. It follows the development of the Arabic Peninsula from its conventional Bedouin culture till the oil explosion. It depicts the history of a broad region, the Arabian Peninsula as a whole. And another novels include and the novels in the trilogy is the Trench, Variations on Night and Day. These are the famous novels of Abdurrahman Munif. All these novels were translated into English. Now, Khalid Khalifa, very famous Syrian novelist, screenwriter, and poet, he passed away even some 3 or 4 months ago. He was nominated 3 times for the International Prize for Arabic Fiction. He published 6 novels in Arabic, 4 have appeared in English. The very famous novel of Khalid Khalifa is Death is Hard Work. This novel is very much famous for his irony and the depiction of the war and refugee crisis, where a father is the children of a man um, are in a mission to give her their father a final resting place where he wishes to die, and their mission, their journey with their father's corpse in a van, and their adventures during wartime, where they appeared for several searches and warrants and squad and their final uh, destination in the final resting place of their father. It's a very famous novel by Khalid Khalifa, that is Hard Work, written in 2016. It is written on the background of the Syrian war and the refugee crisis after the war. And the novels of Khalid Khalifa are filled with accounts of massive killings, great displacements, mass graves, and sharp discord between liberals and fundamentalists. I think the titles of his novels itself themselves show the dark theme of his novels, his writings. No knives in the kitchen of the city, in place of hatred, death is hard work. No one prayed over their graves. All these titles not signify the dark themes of the novels. Another writer is Sultan Al Amimi. He's a writer from the UAE, born in Al Dalit, published 19 books, and he also wrote 14 studies of popular culture in the UAE. There's also, to his credit, 3 collections of short stories, 2 novels, and he is currently the director of the Abu Dhabi Arabic Poetry Academy, Sultan Al Amimi. And then we come to the women novelists, women writers of from the Middle East. Their diverse voices, women's writing in a male-dominated industry or male-dominated society. Industry means the publishing industry, and it has breaking barriers, groundbreaking works that defy societal norms and pave the way for future generations, struggles and resilience, and also inspiration and empowerment. These 3 things are always the hallmarks of Arab women writings. Now, some of these I introduce some the women writers from the Middle East. Nawal Sadawi is perhaps the most famous women writer from the Egyptian peninsula, Egyptian culture. She was a famous Egyptian feminist writer, described as the Simone de Beauvoir of the Arab world. Her writings are dedicated to the political and sexual rights for women. Elsa Davis' novels, short stories, and non-fiction writings deal chiefly with the status of Arab women. She is a famous staunch critic of the religious prejudices and approaches towards women and the gender inequality persistent in the Islamic world. She is one of the most widely translated contemporary Egyptian writers, with her works available in 12 languages. Even in Malayalam, also there are writings of translations of Sadavi's works appeared. Salwa Bakr is another Egyptian critic and novelist. Bakr focuses on portraying women's emotional worlds and the material circumstances of their lives through a language that claims a middle ground between standard and colloquial Arabic. She was a famous Arabic critic, and also a novelist. The Man from Bashmore, The Golden Chariot, such a beautiful voice are the famous novels by Salwa Bakr. The Man from Bashmore was named as one of the 100 best Arabic novels by the Arabic Writers Union. She's also from Egypt. And Raja Alam, I already mentioned her name earlier. She was a Saudi novelist from Mecca, the Hijaz. She works as a tutor for the Center for Training Kindergarten Teachers in Jeddah. She is an active writer of prose also. Her blend of contemporary style and conventional themes is very famous. And she jointly bagged the 2011 Booker Prize for The Dove's Necklace, a very famous novel about Makkah and its tradition. She shared this prize with the Moroccan writer Muhammad Achari. The Dove's Necklace is a work preoccupied with how women are perceived by others and perceive themselves in modern day Makkah. This is the first novel, I think, where the holy city of Makkah, holy city of Islam, is appeared for the world audience, for a universal readership. Hanan al-Sheikh is another author from Lebanese. Her works are manifestations of social commentary on the status of women in the Arab Muslim world. The major works include The Story of Zahra, Women of Sand and Myrrh, Beirut Blues, The Locust and the Bird, My Mother's Story. Hanan's works characterizes female characters in the face of conservative religious traditions set against the background of political tensions and instability of the Lebanese civil war. This is also another writer who writes about war and conflict during the contemporary age. The last one is Lana Badr. It's a famous novelist and short story writer from Palestine. She led her expatriate life in Damascus, Tunisia, and Amman. Amman is the capital city of Jordan. And she worked in the Palestine Ministry of Culture as a general director for the arts. And the famous works of Lana Badr in English are a compass for the sunflower, a balcony over the Fakitani, and stars of Jericho, the eye of the mirror. I think some of you may know these writers on these novels, but almost all, not everyone. Liana Badr and Salwa Bakr and Hanan al-Sheikh are not as famous as Nawal al-Sadawi and Raja Alam, but these writers' contributions are very much pertinent when especially we talk about the contemporary Arabic literature. And I must come to the end of the presentation, the universality of the literature of the Middle East. Fictional works almost always enrich the reader's minds with the history and tradition of the Gulf region, and also use universal and human narratives, themes, and images. This is not only about literature. It's also applicable for cinema and other medium of expression. And we can adopt an interdisciplinary approach that allows us to explore the different literary, historical, cultural, moral, and philosophical factors that enhance the advance of universal interest in Middle East literature, especially fiction. As I already told you that in the beginning itself, Middle East literature and culture, Middle East literature, Middle East writings, and cinema also are simultaneously local and universal. It follows a local setup. It has the background of a regional and local dimension, local setup, and but that local or the regional speaks about the universal values, universal themes of daily life. This is how As William Golding once said, "I'm here, and here is nowhere. My place is nowhere in the picture." This is called universality. These writers from the Middle East often talks about the the regional, but that regional is absent when we have a second look at these writings, because as we tell, the personal is political. It's not similar to that. uh, the local is always universal. Or these authors create fictional worlds parallel to the real ones they have already occupied, and also seek much wider space of the human world. That's why they talk about the very human experiences during the war, during the refugee crisis, and about male-female relationships, about religious conflicts. These things are happening every nook and corner of the world, not only in the Arab world, not only in the Middle Eastern countries. When we uh, took an example of the Iranian film Children of Heaven, we can have that, we can experience that mood of the local and the universal. This makes us to state that the literature of the Middle East is literature of the world. Ma'am, it's over.
Yes, that's your last slide. Okay. Thank you, Arshad.
Ma'am, I'm sorry. There is something I couldn't perform well due to some the technical glitches and issues. I don't know what happened.
No, that was a very interesting presentation. And we have Dina Saji saying, thank you for the very interesting presentation. Actually, we would have, I'm sure quite a lot of us would have loved to hear more about immigrant writing now, that is migrants, particularly Malayalis who have migrated to the Middle East, to Saudi and other places, who are now beginning to write, particularly Benjamin's novel Aadijeevitham, which is the Goat's Life, and which has now been made into a film, and it is being filmed all over the world. So the sufferings of the hard work of the migrant laborers who have gone to these places offers us a different perspective of what life is in these countries.
I think we can stop sharing now.
Yeah.
Ma'am, actually, I purposely avoided that dimension, because when I mention, if I mention that aspect also, the entire dimension of the presentation is changed.
Okay.
So
Can
I know
you,
that, I understand that this question is for sure it will come, and my
yeah,
because this is the contemporary. It's a topic of the hour, and
right.
and you have already
Can you just
mentioned
close the
in
presentation
our
so that
chats about
everyone
the
wants to see
about
you
like
when they ask questions, Arshad?
And all
Can you
the
close the presentation?
the immigrant experience of the Arabs. Oh, I'm sorry. In the Arab
Excuse
world,
me, Arshad, will you close
ma'am,
the
you're not audible.
presentation?
Please stop sharing, Arshad, so that we can see you.
Hello.
Yeah, can you stop sharing?
Okay.
Yes. And now will you switch on your video so that we can see you?
I'm trying to switch on my video for a few seconds, but I cannot. I don't know what happened with my Zoom. The earlier times it worked well,
Okay.
but when I am going to present, it goes.
Okay. I
When I
think now
was in when I was
we'll
in
go for the
when
questions that are coming up. I think there was Deepthi who wanted to ask a question somewhere here. Deepthi, will you unmute and ask?
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, ma'am. This is my first time attending AIWC's webinar. And being a research scholar, I've chosen the area of South Asian diaspora and the Middle East. So I wanted to ask sir a question, but then Jamila ma'am, before that, she mentioned Benjamin's novel. So within that context and keeping the geographical context, I would like to ask about, if there are any representations of slavery or modern slavery within the native literature, uh,
yeah, of
sir.
course. Am I
So, but
audible?
then, yes,
When,
yes,
when,
sir.
when you are asking the question, please switch on your video also so that we can see you.
Ma'am, my network, I have network issues. So, if I switch on the video.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Arshad, your answer to that.
Ma'am, just can I leave the meeting and rejoin so that I think I can switch on my video.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
And while you are away, maybe I would also like to add something to what Arshad has been telling us here. The coffee shops in Egypt. Remember all the coffee shops here in India as well. So Asia seems to have that custom or that ritual, but in different forms all over. Like in Japan, you have another tea ceremony. In India, our coffee houses are very popular, particularly among the brewed coffee that is being made. In the Arab world, when they make a coffee, they don't add cocoa. Particularly the Arab coffee is something that they make out of pounded cardamom and some of the spices. And it is brewed and then they give it to you in very small cups. So that's another kind of coffee. So I was wondering if Arshad knew what all those coffee pots we saw, but what kind of a coffee at that time Egypt was serving its customers. I'm not sure that Arshad heard what I asked, but nevertheless, maybe we come back to it later. But I think Dr. Vijayalakshmi had put up her hand. You wanted to ask something? Please unmute and ask. Dr. Vijayalakshmi? She's left, I think.
She's left.
Okay.
Ma'am, can I answer Deepti's questions?
Yeah.
Deepti, there is a Saudi novelist called Abdul Khal. Have you heard of him?
Not really, sir. I haven't gone through the.
ABDO. Abdul Khal's novels are very much famous.
Could you just spell the name, sir?
ABDO. I think I put it in the chat box.
Yeah, sure.
Abdul Khal's novel Throwing Sparks. This is about modern slavery.
So, are there translations?
Yeah, it's English.
Okay.
I have this novel right now. This is the one. Can you see this?
So, it's not. Yeah. Okay, now I can see.
This is the one.
Yes.
I don't know, and the other writers who deal with this theme of slavery. Actually, I read this novel so that I know him. And this novel is already bagged the International Prize for Arabic Fiction.
Okay, sir. Sir, if you could
And
please share your mail ID, it would be helpful because I am just a beginner.
I will.
And Yeah, if in case, because you're working on this area.
Put in the see the chat box.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Actually,
the floor is now open for discussion, for questions. Pujitji, you would like to ask something?
No, I'm just saying that is it a coincidence that I'm reading Rumi these days?
Oh.
And the name of the book is Bridge to the Soul.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Very interesting, isn't it?
Beautiful, it is beautiful.
So beautifully written. The
Yes.
language is so poetic.
So, and I have read about his life also. There was one program, somebody had written a book, some lady named Amrita. So that program also I had attended. That's how I got interested in Rumi.
Okay.
And I've been to Egypt and Israel also. And there are very interesting stories. Mr. Arshad can explain those stories about the Tutankhamun, about his property, his jewelry, how an Englishman, he came to Egypt and he could find that all those things were there. I mean, inside you can say that it was covered with the wall so that nobody could have approach to that thing. But then he thought there is something behind this wall. So he got that wall broke, and then they found so much of jewelry which belonged to Tutankhamun's mother, his grandmother, and all those things they have kept in the museum in Cairo. And then
you must have seen the pyramids as well.
Yes, pyramids, and the most beautiful part is that they are maintaining their history. For example, when Napoleon he attacked Egypt and he destroyed certain pyramids, they are still maintaining the pyramids like that in order to prove, yes, Napoleon came and attacked Egypt. They didn't want to repair, they didn't repair those pyramids. So the history speaks for itself. And the statues of the queens and kings and art and architect, it's beautiful. And when you come to Israel in Jerusalem, then you can see the sea and the sand and the mountains, all these things together over there. It's a beautiful place out of this world. And it talks about the life of Jesus Christ, where he was crucified, how he carried that cross on his back, on his shoulder. So all those things are beautiful to watch. So I thought Mr. Ahmed will just throw light on that also. And the journey, cruise through Nile also. But I didn't understand Nile to Oxus. What is Oxus?
Arshad. What is Oxus?
Yes.
The river Oxus.
That is also a river.
Yeah.
Okay. And where is that river, in Egypt only? No.
Max, it is the western part.
It's not in Egypt. It flows into, I think, Arabia and all that. Jordan, Syria. It goes north.
Oxus River is flowing through Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, and Afghanistan.
Okay, okay.
Central Asian countries, through Central Asian countries. Between this Oxus and the Nile rivers, these whatever geographical positions, geographical areas between these two rivers are included in the Middle East.
Okay. They were the rivers that gave fertility to the valley, and the valley, the cultivation came up in the valley because of these rivers. And I understand the Nile usually is flooded from June to September every year. It is something that happens on a routine. Like every year from July to September, the Nile is flooded, and then the area surrounding it is made fertile because of that flooding. So even flooding has its uses. And to add to what you just said about the pyramids, I understand that the first pyramid was built by 30,000 men in 30 years.
Yes. They maintain that history and they explain you when you go over there.
Yeah.
And Shashu?
Arshad, you would like to add something to that?
Sphinx.
No,
Then the
actually,
statue of
also
Sphinx,
region,
they've
that,
kept it like that only, no? With broken nose. So when you visit all these places, the history becomes alive at that time. That's the most beautiful part of Egypt and about all these countries, the culture and history. In Jerusalem also, when you go, you can feel that the Jesus is moving around. The stories related to his life, we read in Bible. So all those stories they narrate over there, and there's a proof also. The streets and the lanes they have still maintained like that from where Jesus Christ had taken that cross on his shoulders. So this is the beauty of those countries. So they're maintaining their culture and history as it was during that time. And then one lady also ruled Egypt. The only lady. So that
Cleopatra.
was good news for me because I'm working in women
Cleopatra.
empowerment. So I think her name was Hatshep something, no? That lady is very difficult to pronounce. But I appreciate the calligraphy which they show in Cairo and Egypt, all those places. So as I said that they have maintained their history very well, very well. And thank you so much, Mr. Arshad. You gave beautiful presentation about the literature and especially the women writers and how they are covering this war and the conspiracies and kings and women and everything. That was very important. The trauma of conflicts, how it affects the writers. That was the most beautiful part of your presentation. That how the reality is being brought by them into the literature. So thank you so much for enlightening us about the literature of Arab countries.
No, actually, Arab literature came from a female called a woman called Shahrazad. Shahrazad's daring attempt to tell stories in front of her death. Telling stories is the stepping stones to writing stories. She was very she adopted a daring attempt to safeguard his life in front of death uh, by telling stories. She doesn't. She she had no assurance regarding whether she will be escaped. She will be saved or not. But that telling stories changed the whole history of the Arab world because through the Arabian Nights, the Arab culture is was spread across the continents. So I think that must be very important to have a look at the role of Shahrazad, even though a fictional character. And of course, what you have told about the historical monuments, especially the pyramids, Egyptian pyramids, and the monuments in Jerusalem, ma'am, if you go to Makkah and Medina, the holy cities of Islam, other two holy cities of Islam, you cannot see a single place where these historical monuments are there because almost all the historical monuments are destructed by the government.
Oh my God.
That's why it's so sad too. I think I can understand the religious aspect of that activity, that destruction. But even even so, I could not or I cannot adjust with the mass destruction of the historical monuments because they are the uh, living proofs of this
History, ancient history.
this history, that this troubled and grand history. Hariharan sir, some question to everyone. What's that, sir?
Not to everyone, but to you.
Okay, sir.
No, that has to do with the comment you made just now regarding the destruction of monuments.
Monuments.
To my mind comes what happened in Baghdad and the cradle of civilization, as it were. The old libraries in Baghdad and of course the archaeological sites uh, in that entire region, which were also diverse. Now, it will be very difficult for me to accept a, a statement that you made, that I can understand why they did so in Mecca and Medina.
Sorry,
Right?
sir, I can understand.
I can understand why they did so in Mecca and Medina. You don't
No,
find
no, not like sir. Not like, I know what their intention was, but I
no,
cannot
no,
accept their explanation.
no, no. What I'm saying is,
Ah,
when you look at the entire terrain from one end of the river, from one end to the other, from Nile to the other end, see, it's not a uniform geography.
no,
As
yes,
was pointed out, see, you have vast deserts on at one area, and then on the other, you have the river, which fertilizes a whole region. You just need to go and look at a play like Antony and Cleopatra to understand the Middle East, at least one part of the Middle East. You just need to look at that whole idea of fertility that, that is so richly presented in that play. And it is the same idea that you in a way translate by the time, let us say, you come to the UAE or Dubai, Saudi Arabia. See, it's a big establishment now. It's a huge urban center. A lot of transactions happen there. The whole city has grown. Dubai, for example, is a big city on this desert where nothing grows. And what has happened is you have a city that has grown. It's a beautiful example of an oasis made of cement. It's an oasis
Bahrain
made of
also, sir.
cement. Now, the idea is
Bahrain
that,
also.
see what you have there essentially then is a remarkable recreation, a human recreation of the mirage,
Yes.
because it's insubstantial. The desert is a shape changer.
And it
The,
exhibits the prosperity.
yeah, no. The desert is a shape changer. The point I'm making is that the desert is a shape changer. The river is a shape changer. The core is very different. The material that makes the river, the material that makes the desert, they're two different things. And yet they are remarkable shape changes. And when you talk about cities that grow, you are talking about the way in which shapes continue to change, which is why we talk about architecture. To come back to that point with which I started, it's very important, therefore, to talk about architecture in a different sense altogether, to understand architecture in a different sense, to understand human geography in a different sense. I think that is what the geography of the Middle East tells you, with its sheer variety and what it can offer you. And perhaps that, I would say, would be perhaps adds a different dimension to the war that is happening between Israel and Palestine. Because what is it that you are trying to do? You are trying to gain control over territories. Now, I thought you also would mention something of this long drawn out battle, which we thought probably would end in 1 week's time. It's now over 6 months, right? So I'd be happy to listen to you on that conflict, or that fight, the Third World War, as it were. Uh, we are more than 6 months into it now. So what would be your take on it?
Sir, regarding the Palestine-Israel issue, it is not a new. It's not a. It's a history of thousands of years, not thousands. Uh, the Israel-Palestine issue is rather, it's of course political, religious, and spatial dimensions. And the Israel state was formed in 1948. We can have the modern history of the conflict from around 75 years, 74, 76 years. But apart from that, beyond that, as you mentioned, the geographical positioning uh, of the of the conflict itself, that's very important, because Palestine and Israel are uh, lands around in the midst of deserts, and of course mirage. I don't know what uh, the religious dimension is, of course, there, but apart from that, there is a there's an anthropogenic anthropological and indigenous issues are or conflicts are there, because the and also the biblical we can have the biblical story of the Abrahamic faiths, the Israel, the Israels. Um, don't know that the term used in the Bible, and of course, I got the term used in the Quran. The people of the book means the people where the Arabs have more connection, both religious and familial relations to the earliest the communities who got the holy books earlier, because the people who received the Torah, the the sacred books for the Jews, and for the people who received the book Bible, or what the Muslims called the Injil, given to Jesus Christ. And these Arabs have uh, both conflicts and affiliations, not only religious but familial affiliations with this Israeli community, or we call it Jews itself. And of course, the Jewish ancestor Moses uh, has we know that the story of the promised land where Moses was given was entrusted with the promised land, and the Jews called demanded Israel or the Jerusalem as their promised land. This is the religious aspect, but this story has a geographical or geopolitical dimension too, because Jerusalem is very important, is very pertinent in that area. When you go to, as Kuljivam earlier said, when you go to Israel or when you go to Jerusalem, there are plenty of historical monuments. There are plenty of uh, uh, proofs of the life of Jesus and his followers that are still there, not that is still not destructed. This apart from or different from the Muslim perspective in the Mecca and Medina, the holy cities of Islam, because
Arshad, just a minute. We have somebody who has joined us from Dubai. So we would like to hear what her comments are on that.
okay, ma'am.
Veena Saji, will you unmute and talk?
Yeah. Hi.
Hi.
Can you see me?
Yeah.
I am Veena. I'm working in the psychology department by the university in Dubai. And you know, psychology is lots connected with literature. We have indeed a subject called cultural psychology. Okay.
Okay,
So
ma'am.
basically, in one section of every chapter in cultural psychology, they speak about art and literature and how it's connected to psychology. So whatever you said between the artist and all the all the writers and writers were speaking about different people. It really like I'm thinking of actually including it in the assignments that I plan for next semester. Indeed, your presentation was very useful as we start thinking in an interdisciplinary manner. which is very, very important, I think. Because you also spoke about trauma, the trauma of Palestinian things that's going on, Syria, Yemen, people coming from these countries to UAE, and UAE accepts all these people. I mean, not all of them, but at least they are helping. The government is helping. So we do get stories of such kind of people coming over here, and then they speak about it, and maybe a trauma-related literature due to the conflicts in the region is something that I got from your presentation. I understood that there's a lot of stories of fiction writing which may have some real, background. It is not just a fiction. I'm sure there's some personal experiences of people which is being narrated, and then it's coming and.
Can you talk about the personal experiences that you are finding in Dubai today?
Personal experience in what way? As an expat, you want me to speak?
No, of your students, because you have a number of students who come
Okay,
from
I will
different
speak about,
backgrounds.
okay. Many of the students that I'm teaching are from Emiratis families because I work for the their national university. So Emiratis are the main people who come over there. The students are Emiratis. I have taught for male and female campus as well. Now, what I see is among the Emiratis, we have, children or students whose father may be an Emirati and mother could be from Syria or from Palestine or even from India. I have students like that. And sometimes they narrate the stories of their grandfather getting married from this other country, things like that. Okay, and what other thing you would like to know about the modernized students? I'm seeing that because I started teaching from 2003 here. So that time, the language itself was a big problem for them to understand because education here, what we give is the language we are using is English. The textbooks we are using are international. So definitely for them to connect with that, textbook know-how, which is not at all connected to their own region, was a little bit different. But now we have, as years passed, we have got books. Even international authors are collaborating with local textbook authors, like academicians like us, so that we put examples which is regional, so that it's more interesting for the students when they read things. But still, a very lot of things have to be done in that particular area. I'm not sure about literature classes, how it is going on, but psychology, I still feel we need a lot of case studies from the region. It has not come because we are still focusing on the international things. So we actually, in assignments, I bring out such things. Not only me, other faculty, they have to have that particular, some regional aspect in every assignment that is being given for every subject. So that's it. Students are affected by modernization because the development happening around them has affected them quite a lot. They have this identity issue that you said. It might come in the writing, I'm sure, because they are raised by parents who are highly religious and grandparents who are very traditional. Rituals they follow, they are still coming in abayas, but sometimes they want to keep their abayas a little open. You will see certain students are a little more like, very modern, that they would sometimes keep the abaya front part open so that we can see that what they are wearing. So things are changing, and even thought process, they want to break away from this, go to other places, study, work. And you can see many Emirati women, if I'm speaking about the women more, many Emirati women are getting that empowerment kind of thing from the government side. So they can grow quite a lot in this region. So that would affect how they are, seeing things. But definitely, you pointed out in your presentation about that identity thing. Even when it comes to empowerment, the identity thing is still there. I don't know how to express it in literary word, but it is there. That's what I can say.
Thank you for that interaction.
Yeah.
I think Bhuneshwari has been coming in for some time to ask something? Yes.
No, nothing. It was a very good presentation and gave us a very good view of the Middle East culture and literature, especially the novelists. You had all the works you had mentioned, especially the women novelists. Then there were few things like the calligraphy that you showed us. It was quite interesting, very beautiful, and it was quite interesting.
There are
And
several other examples of calligraphy in the Google. You can Google it.
yeah, okay. But the ones you shown was, very good. That was like gave us an idea of that. Then there's like you said, the Panchatantra being adapted in
To
Arabic
Arabic.
situations. That is very interesting. And
I can,
pardon?
I can put it in the chat box, the name of the translation.
Okay. That will be nice. That will be nice. And another thing was, I was just, you made us brief mention about the movie, Iranian film, Children of Heaven. But I was thinking that you'll have a slide on the Iranian movies as well, because they are very interesting movies, of Farhadi and many others. So,
Actually, I'm not that good at films. Film study is not my cup of tea, so that I purposefully avoided that area. I think we have another. We can think of another edition of these movies from these regions, apart from literature.
No, but
In
Bhubaneswar
every
is
region.
interested in movies, no, since her son is working.
yeah, and so
Bhubaneswar's area of interest is movies.
Ma'am, the thing is, we happen to see a lot of Iranian movies, which are very, very good ones. That's why I was thinking that in the Middle East, yeah, that's one thing. What Kuljit ji said was correct. So we happen to see a lot of movies. Yeah.
Yeah.
Send me the names of those movies,
Do not
Bhubaneswar.
miss the film.
Yeah.
The
These
films
Children
of
of Heavens, and I'll text you few of those
Okay.
movies which are really very down to earth, and you can
Thank you.
follow it very nicely.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
and the beginners do not miss the films of Majid Majidi, the Iranian filmmaker.
Good. Yeah. Anyway, that was a very good presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Arshad, for that very good presentation. Srikala has put in a note saying, got a glimpse of the not so familiar aspects of Middle East culture and literature, etc. Wishing you all a wonderful evening. Okay.
Can you talk about the monuments and art and architecture of these places, Greece and Turkey? I've yet to visit. Mr.
Actually,
Ahammad.
there is the. Uh, just a second, I will show you something.
Are you showing something, Arshad?
Yeah. Just wait. Can you see this?
Yes, I can.
This is a famous street art by Banki's graffitis, a graffiti in Bethlehem. It's a it's most famous one by this painter. He is, as the title of the painting suggests, it's a flower throwing. The man is having a head garment as of the typical Palestinian wear, and he's throwing a flower. It's a bouquet. A flower through flower against the enemies.
Good
This
message,
shows,
lovely
this
message.
shows the non-violent approach of the Palestinians lived in West Bank and Ramallah.
Okay,
Thank you
thank
so
you
much.
for that. I think we are overstepping our time. Usha, would you like to come in at this point? Usha, are you there? So,
Yes.
yes,
There
I
are
think
no
we should
more,
conclude now. Yeah.
yes, I think if there are no more questions and remarks, then we can conclude. I would just like to mention that Arshad has made it very, very interesting. And one or two points that he made, I feel, very novel ideas. One was that we always think of and we hear of women being secluded. They are, they are prevented from accessing many spaces and they are secluded and they lack the freedom. Then he says that in the same way, men are also prevented from accessing the female spaces, which affects their writing. So that makes us think in a different way and view their writings also in a different way, because that could be a uh, very big handicap for a man to be writing about women. He is denied the access to the spaces that women occupy. And then again, you explained very well how the conflicts and the general environment around restricts the writings and how they are all coping with that, especially women writers. And I would say that most of the names are very new to me. I have not read any of these writers, but then you have created the curiosity to find out more about these writers and read their writings. So thank you, Arshad, for that very, very interesting presentation and talk. And the interactions have also been very interesting, and they brought out new points. And as you say, maybe one session is not enough to cover such a large area and to talk about the different aspects. Like somebody mentioned cinema, somebody mentioned architecture. We could not have fitted everything into this one presentation. So maybe we can think of more presentations. I thank all the
Usha, you muted.
Shaji, your
Usha,
sound
you're
is
muted.
unheard.
somebody is
No, we cannot hear you.
Can't hear you.
okay, maybe the network is bad. Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the network is very unstable. So I'll wrap up very quickly. I thank all of you for being there. Thank you, Jamila, for keeping up this. This is our 42nd session under the Literary and Cultural Forum, which I think is no mean achievement. We have managed to keep it up so long. Thank you, Bhuneshwari, for being the co-host and helping me manage this webinar. And I thank all of you, and especially Arshad. And we wish you all the best. And we hope you remain associated with us. Jamila will be circulating the link to all of you. So please feel free to join our future webinars also. Thank you so much. And
thank you.
that we are ending today's session.
Yeah, thank you. Just a minute. Thank you, Arshad, for making that
Sure,
very
ma'am.
good presentation and
Sure, ma'am.
enlightening us on
And
many new writers and thinking in the Arab world. I would also like to convey the information that our next webinar will be on Russia. So from the Middle East, we are going to Russia in the next session in June. So I hope all of you will join us then. Thank you once again to everyone who has joined us, and thank you, Arshad.
So
Thank
the
you, ma'am.
first Saturday of June is 1st of June. So
Yeah,
the
first of June.
webinar on Russia will be on 1st of June.
Yeah.
Yes. So thank you again, all of you, and goodbye. We'll see you next month.
Yeah, see you next.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you for inviting me also. Very much proud.
Yeah, we will be sending you all our seminar, all our webinars
Sure,
from
ma'am,
time
I will
on.
join. I will join.
Yeah, we have a group of AIWC of the Literary and Cultural Forum who have made presentations. So we'll automatically become one of the group. And then all the webinars that we host on this platform, you will be getting information. And please
Usha,
do
this
join us.
non-AIWC, can they also attend this webinar?
Yes, yes, certainly. That is why we always write that all are welcome.
Yes, some people in my apartment, they were asking for the link.
Yes, yes, please, they are all most welcome, and both men and women, because it is not confined to women alone, because seeing All India Women's Conference, I see that fewer men are joining than women. They are
Yes.
all are welcome, so you please circulate the link whenever we send it and invite all of them to
Okay.
join
Thank
us.
you. Yeah.
And our link will be there as usual in all the groups. You can watch on YouTube as well, and please circulate the